It might come as a big surprise to you, but Americans aren't really allowed into some countries. In this video, we will be looking at 10 different countries where Americans can't enter. The first will definitely shock you, so make sure to watch this video to the end. 10. Venezuela. Regrettably, Venezuela has been experiencing a severe political and economic crisis for the past few years, struggling with economic collapse and political instability. Given the current crisis, the U.S. Department of State strongly advises against traveling to Venezuela. This is due to concerns regarding crime, civil unrest, inadequate health infrastructure, kidnapping, and the potential for arbitrary arrest and detention of U.S. citizens. If you plan on traveling to Venezuela as an American citizen, you will be required to obtain a visa. However, obtaining one can be a bit complicated because there is no Venezuelan embassy or consulate in the U.S. since the breakdown of diplomatic relations between the two countries in 2019. When applying for a visa, you'll need to go through a Venezuelan embassy in a third country. The application process involves submitting a valid passport, filling out an application form, providing passport-sized photos, showing your travel itinerary, providing proof of accommodation, and paying the required fee. 9. Iraq. Considering the tense relationship between these two nations, it might be wise to think twice before planning a personal trip to this country. If you decide to move forward, you'll have to complete their visa application process. This involves submitting your passport, driver's license, a letter explaining the purpose of your trip, and the required fee. You should note that in order to obtain the visa, you will need to send both a copy of your passport and the original. In certain situations, even when all the necessary information has been provided, embassy officials may inexplicably reject applications without any clear reason. In addition, the potential for violence in the area might encourage you to consider traveling to a different location. 8. Libya. Similar to Iraq, Libya is another country that foreign tourists from the United States should avoid visiting because of the ongoing conflict there. U.S. officials have issued a dire travel advisory for Libya, citing the country's history of violent conflict, kidnappings, terrorist attacks, and other dangerous situations. Relations between the United States and Libya have been severely strained as a result of the civil war in Libya in 2011 and the assassination of the United States ambassador in Benghazi. As a citizen of the United States, acquiring a tourist visa for Libya can be a difficult and time-consuming process. As a result of the ongoing political instability, tourist visas are not being issued at this time. Nevertheless, as of the year 2023, it is still possible to travel to Libya on a business visa. An application for a business visa would normally require the following: a passport that is still valid, application forms that have been filled out in their entirety, the application fee, photographs that are passport-sized, and an official letter of invitation from a company based in Libya. 7. Saudi Arabia. It has always been quite challenging to obtain a visa to enter Saudi Arabia, despite its significant role as a major oil supplier to the United States. Before 2019, these visas were exclusively granted to individuals who were visiting Mecca for religious purposes. In addition, there was no option for a tourist visa, and it was difficult for people from the U.S. to visit. Significant changes have been taking place in Saudi Arabia since the election of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The country started granting visitation rights to several countries, including the USA. 6. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is famous for its unique former president and the fascinating Door-to-Hell crater. This country, with its vast deserts, ancient ruins, and striking modern architecture, can be quite challenging for Americans to visit. The strict visa policies and the government's general wariness of foreign visitors make it a bit difficult. The diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Turkmenistan are quite limited, primarily due to significant concerns regarding human rights and democracy. Turkmenistan's application procedure involves applying through an embassy or consulate. This is the Embassy of Turkmenistan in Washington, D.C., in the United States. The letter of invitation can be quite challenging to obtain during the visa process. To book your tour, you can contact a Turkmen travel agency, and they will handle the application for the letter of invitation on your behalf. The process may require a few weeks, and there is no guarantee of approval. It's important to be aware that the embassy has the authority to reject your application without providing a specific explanation. 4. Eritrea. Eritrea may not be well known to Americans as some other countries on this list, but it is not necessarily easier to visit. In another location with an abundance of visa paperwork, obtaining the necessary documents can be quite a test of patience. In addition to the usual forms, you will need to submit proof of your flight bookings, a bank statement demonstrating your financial capacity, and a document explaining the purpose of your visit. It's like a letter where you explain why you want to visit and maybe mention someone you know there to try and convince officials that you have connections in the country. It seems that certain requirements are becoming less strict, so be sure to stay alert for any updates. Bhutan. The next on our list is the peaceful Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan. The challenges of traveling to this country are not driven by politics, but rather by a result of their distinctive tourism policy. Bhutan has implemented measures to preserve its environment and culture by allowing only a restricted number of tourists annually. American visitors are obliged to pay a daily fee ranging from $200 to $250. This policy, known as High Value, Low Impact, is a forward-thinking initiative aimed at encouraging sustainable tourism. At first glance, this fee may appear high, but it's crucial to grasp the contents it encompasses. The fee includes accommodation in 3-star hotels, all meals, a licensed tour guide, transportation within Bhutan, camping equipment for trekkers, and a sustainable tourism royalty that contributes to free education, healthcare, and infrastructure development in Bhutan. Basically, it's a comprehensive package that directly contributes to the welfare of the country. 2. North Korea. Under the Trump administration, a travel ban was implemented that affected individuals holding American passports. As per the information provided on the U.S. Bureau of Consular Affairs website, the State Department only allows for a few specific exceptions. Before the ban, individuals were allowed to travel as long as they were accompanied by a North Korean guide under contract. This limited the opportunity for independent exploration of the country, but at least it was possible to visit. The current travel ban began with the tragic and cautionary story of Otto Warmbier, a young American who personally witnessed the harsh consequences of this country's inflexible political system. Warmbier, a student from the University of Virginia, traveled to North Korea in late 2015 as part of a guided tour. In early 2016, he was apprehended at Pyongyang International Airport while trying to leave. The North Korean government claimed that Warmbier had engaged in a hostile act against the state, accusing him of trying to steal a propaganda poster from his hotel. Warmbier received a 15-year sentence of hard labor following a 1-hour trial. His case highlights the significant dangers and possibility of being detained without reason that American travelers encounter when visiting North Korea. Unfortunately, Warmbier's situation took a turn for the worse. After being held captive for 17 months, he was finally released by North Korea in June 2017. However, upon his return to the U.S., he was in a coma and suffered from severe brain damage. He died 6 days later. Warmbier's case caused heightened tensions between the U.S. and North Korea, ultimately resulting in a travel ban to North Korea for American citizens starting in July 2017. 1. Cuba. Cuba is known to have some of the most amazing spots in the world, but it is restricted to Americans. The reason why Americans cannot travel to Cuba for business is because of the trade embargo that was put in place in 1958. The embargo also affected Americans who wished to visit the country for leisure purposes. Official tourism is still prohibited and against the law. However, Americans can visit the country under 12 different categories of travel, which do not include tourism. Therefore, you can apply for a travel license under one of those categories. It is necessary to have a Cuba tourist card, also known as a visa, in order to enter the country. It's important to remember to bring cash with you to Cuba, as you won't be able to convert U.S. funds while you're there. Additionally, exercise caution when making purchases. Certain businesses are restricted to American visitors. Visiting these countries can be quite challenging for Americans, and moving there is almost impossible. However, it's important to remember that travel is not just about sightseeing, but also about gaining a deeper understanding of the complexities of the world. Drop your comments in the section below. Like this video and make sure to share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.